Good morning, I'm Geiger. I've just received a new robust American Beauty lathe, and I wanted to take a little video here so you can see what it's like to receive one and what you've got to do to get it out of the crate. It's going to come in a crate that's 5 feet long. This is for the standard bed American Beauty. It's 3 feet wide, about 4'10" high. Got the OSB board here. It's well protected. The lathe comes totally assembled. And so what I've got to do is get in here and remove the outside casing first, and then it's resting on a pallet down on the bottom. So I'm going to show you how to do the whole process. So if you receive this at your home, you'll know what to do.
Action.
The tools you're going to need is going to be a pry bar, a hammer, a razor knife of some kind, and a 9/16 inch wrench or maybe a crescent wrench. And because you're going to be hammering onto this a fair amount, it's a good idea to wear ear protection and eye protection. Another thing too is you can salvage the materials that are in these crates and reuse them. It's a real good idea to go ahead and recycle them. Also, in a later segment, I'm going to show you how you can use some of these materials to build a ramp in order to roll the lathe off of the pallet safely. First thing we got to do is remove the two end panels. These are attached with nails several places around here. So there's one on this end, there's one on the opposite end. What I'm going to do is on my ear protection first. Once you get this far, you can just pull it down and let it fall off. Now be very, very careful, because sometimes nails will remain in this board. Right here, you'll see a few of them. Don't step on those. Make sure you either take them out or set this in a position so that you're not going to step on it later. You can now see the end of the lathe on the headstock end, where the motor is and everything. You can see nothing's been damaged. That was the other little thing too I forgot to mention, is always before you accept the lathe from the driver, inspect that casing very carefully and make sure that there's no damage. If there's damage, you have the right to refuse that. But as soon as you sign the ticket, it can be in any condition you find, and you can't do anything about it. They will not cover it. So make sure that you do a careful inspection before you let the driver go, and certainly before you sign the ticket. Next thing is to remove one of the side panels. And sometimes when I remove them, I can remove this whole side panel and then be able to flip all 3 of these over. We'll see if that works today. Yeah, there it goes. This will be good to keep filming. Once we reach this point, the top has become disconnected from here, and all I've got to do, you got enough, you back enough? All I've got to do is turn it over like this. It opens up. I'm getting more excited by the minute. I'm able to see the new lathe here, and I can hardly wait to get started turning. But there's a few more things I'm going to have to do. As you saw, I very easily removed the whole cabinet off from around the lathe. Next thing I got to do is concentrate on removing it from the pallet. And it's bolted in 4 places, one bolt at each leg, and all I've got to do is use a 9/16 inch wrench, and I'll remove those nuts. The other thing is, if you've ordered any extra accessories, they're usually going to be packed in nicely in with the lathe. This one's strapped on here. What this is a steady rest, that was I had shipped down with the lathe for another customer. So one of the things I was really excited about on this particular lathe is the new feature of the American Beauty is that we have numbers that have been engraved in the hand wheel so that you know where you're at on your indexing positions. This is a brand new feature. A lot of people have asked for it over the years, and this is the first time I've actually seen it other than in pictures. And inside the box, you're always going to find the remote control. Ooh, this one's got the brand new protection so that you don't accidentally bump the rheostat control. And then something that I've never even gotten online in the previous lathes that I've received is an accessory which is an off switch. So it's a foot off switch. It only turns the lathe off, so that way you don't have to release your hands from holding your tools to turn the lathe off. And I think it's going to become very, very handy, especially when doing hollow forms. Additionally, your manual will be in there. Read your manual, guys. I know you don't want to, but read your manual. There's also a disc in here that is relative to the controller. Okay, your standard accessories should be packed into the box. One, you get a nice knockout rod. You get a heavy-duty knockout rod, and it works not only in the headstock spindle, but also through the tailstock quill. You'll get a drive center, and the drive center is a ring drive, and I'll explain that in a later video. But basically, you've got one piece here that's a number 2 Morse taper. It's got male 3/4 by 10 threads on it, and then you've got a large ring here which is used to drive your wood. So that would go into your spindle on the headstock end. There's a 3-inch aluminum faceplate, a wrench which is used for adjusting your legs with, some nice little dense pads that are used to go under the feet of the lathe in order to set your lathe down on and protect the floor, and a robust live center. These new robust live centers are really, really nice. If you've ordered any additional accessories, they'll usually be packaged in this box as well. Well, in this case, I ordered the cone set that goes on the live center. There's a small cone and a big cone. I ordered a J rest. Now these rests are really marvelous and they're really wonderful. What comes with the lathe is a 12-inch comfort rest, and so this would be used in addition to that, depending on the type of turning that you're doing. And one more thing, I ended up getting a vacuum attachment, and what that vacuum attachment does is so cool that it mounts directly into the spindle at this end and seals all the way through to the opposite end of the spindle for the hole that's going through here, and then I can attach my hose here that goes to my vacuum system. It's got 2 O-rings on it, so it seals very nicely, and this revolves. It's a sealed bearing. I think that's it on it. There's 2 different methods you can use to remove the lathe from the pallet now that we've got it unbolted. One method is to use a forklift. We fortunately have a forklift today, and I want to show you what you do with it. Basically, first thing you got to do is the fork's going to come in from the side, and the forks will go underneath the bed and above this support, and so you've got to set the forks in the right position. The other thing is you want to make sure that the headstock, the banjo, and the tailstock are out of the way. So I'm going to move the tailstock back this way, move the banjo this way, the headstock's already back far enough, and so when we put the forks under here, it doesn't hit anything. The other method with a forklift that you can do is you can come at it from the end. I like coming at it from the headstock end because that's the heavy end, but you would use two 2x4s like this. This is probably a little over 2 feet long, and you can run the 2x4s horizontally underneath the bed here and here, and then when you come in with a forklift from the end, you get underneath those and just lift the whole thing up. We've loaded them like this on pickup trucks many times at the shows, at the end of the shows. I've even seen the long bed version done, so it's significantly heavier than this lathe, but it still works. So it's a really good method. The second way to do it is we'll show you later in a later segment how to do it at your home without a forklift. Right? The caster set that you can order as an accessory to the American Beauty lathe and the other lathes is normally supplied with 4 swiveling casters. Alright. Come on through. Right there.
Drop it down a little bit.
Yeah, just a little. Is that good?
I go in a little deeper, or are you okay lifting there?
I think that's good. Just lift it straight up.
All right.
Straight
so
up.
Lift easy.
Yep.
Coming up.
Okay, stop.
Can we just leave it like that? You got to put. Oh, those are quick detach, aren't they?
Yep.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, pretty well thought out. Okay, we'll just back it up and get it on the hard surface.
Good deal.
Good. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you can get the lathe off the pallet safely at home. What I did was I made a couple pairs of ramps that were made out of the scrap material primarily, and basically just kind of a flat area in here and then tapered down out to here, and on the bottom I made some supports out of some of the 2x4s and then adjusted the height so that this would match the top of the pallet. This little flat area here kind of gives me a nice little landing zone so that when I roll the lathe off, then it's level pretty much here until it gets here, and then it'll slowly come down. But notice that I lined both sides with some 2x2s, and that's so that the lathe doesn't run off, the wheels don't run off the sides of the ramps. The other thing is, if you'll notice on here, how these are only 5.5 inches wide, and indeed what happens is where the lathe wheel separation is, it's very close here. So what I like to do is cut a couple of 2x6s that were actually part of the crate and put them in here. So it'll be one here and one here. What that did is it broadened the path of where the wheels are going to run when we go down to here. When you add these, you need to tack them down with a screw so they don't move around. It may not move around, but I feel safer having the screws there. So the lathe's still on the pallet. We got the bolts out. Next thing we got to do is get the wheels in place. To do that, I'm going to use this as a jack stand in the middle, and I can go ahead and put up the ramps to the edges of the pallet. that's going to give me a place to come down with. What I like to use is a small hydraulic jack. These are available a number of places pretty inexpensively, and they do a very nice job. So jack this up so I can get the wheel casters in place. On one end. And then lower it back down. It's now resting on that end. At the other end, I don't. As you can see, I just removed it by myself. It'd be nice if you had an extra person to help, you know, to arrest the weight as it comes down. But this way we utilize the scrap materials and made a little ramp and a little box and used a hydraulic jack, and we're able to get the lathe back off the pallet. Thank you very much.